Welcome to Autism Tips and Tools, where we highlight the best practical guidance from previous episodes of Autism Knows No Borders. Whether you're a self-advocate, a family member, or a service provider, there's something here for you. I'm Rachel Harmon, a professional in the field of autism services, outreach, and advocacy, and the following clip is from my conversation with author and illustrator Sivan Hong. Sivan's best-selling children's book series, The Super Fun Day Books, celebrates the triumphs of neurodiverse children as they face challenges with determination and courage. Her titles include Benny J. and the Horrible Halloween, George J. and the Miserable Monday, Emily D. and the Fearful First Day, and Avery G. and the Scary End of School. Sivan is also the mother of 2 neurodiverse children, and she herself has ADHD. Here's Sivan talking about the difference between social stories and traditional children's books, why social stories are effective in teaching neurodiverse children to navigate challenging situations, and the benefits of social stories for every student in the classroom, including neurotypicals.
Social stories are this lovely tool that people use in special education to help children kind of process the social setting and process what's appropriate, how their feelings work, and then get to the result that kind of allows them to succeed. And I created all these social stories for my kids, and I was a big doodler, so I would draw along with kind of the words, and oftentimes social stories do have pictures. And I realized I had all of these, and they were super helpful for my kids, and I needed to find a way to share them with others. Right? Because it can't just be about my kids using them and being successful and finding them helpful. If other kids could find them helpful, well, great. And I kind of had this level of hubris, I guess, for lack of a better word, where I was like, oh, I can just put these in a book. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I had no background, prior to having kids. I was a professor and I was in business and I had no idea what I was doing, but I went for it. And I wrote and published my first book about Halloween in February, which in hindsight, you're like, what? What did you do? Like, I clearly had no idea what I was doing. But turns out that there's a need for books like this so that people like me and kids like my kids can see themselves in a picture book and think, oh, I'm not really so different. I'm okay. I'm normal. My Halloween book has a child who wears headphones in it. For the life of me, I couldn't find a photo, a book that had a child wearing headphones when my son was in kindergarten and needed to wear headphones. So these books actually serve a real purpose to allow our kids to say, that's just like me. It's okay. It's okay to wear headphones because it's just like me. I'm not alone.
Yeah. And that's so important in this community where people might be feeling like they don't belong in a classroom with other peers. So could you talk also about how your books have been used to guide neurotypical students in the classroom?
Yes, absolutely. So it's one thing to have my kid or another neurodivergent child pick up a book and be like, that's just like me. And see a kid wearing headphones and be like, all right, I'm cool, I'm good. But if you read this book in a classroom with other kids, neurotypical kids, and they see a character wearing headphones, then when they encounter a peer in their class wearing headphones, it's not weird. It's not different. It normalizes that experience. And so when teachers read books like this, and it doesn't just have to be my book, right? Like we're starting to get a canon of books out there for kids like this. But when neurotypical kids get access to it, they can walk into the lives of neurodivergent kids and understand it in a way that they wouldn't otherwise. There's often this description in children's books that books can be, a mirror for a child so that they can see themselves. And it can also be a window or a door that allows you to look into the life of somebody else or step into their shoes. And that's the power of having diversity in children's books.
Yeah. So could you elaborate a little bit more on that difference between traditional children's books and social stories?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you really think about a social story, it's supposed to be a very simple story, and it uses pictures and user-friendly language, and it explains kind of expectations and rules for different kinds of social situations. And it has like one or two sentences on a page, really tries to be simple. And it's structured. It sets up kind of, here's the situation, here are the feelings that you're going to feel, here are the steps that you take in order to have a positive outcome, and then here's the positive outcome you're going to have. So it's very, very structured. And all of my books are set up with this kind of structure. In fact, every child, every protagonist, I guess, in my book will lay out the kind of 5 reasons why they don't want to do or are afraid of whatever it is that they're about to face. Every single book does this, and then it lays out kind of the solution to that. And they're real tips. They're not just, ideas. Like, these are real tools that teachers or parents use in the classroom. And then at the end, the child is very proud of themselves because they are able to do this on their own. A traditional children's book is going to have an arc of a story, right? Here's the character, here's what happens to the character, the end. And it's at times can be educational, they can have morals, but it is not as rigid and it is not as structured. Oftentimes, neurodivergent kids enjoy the structure because they know what's going to happen, right? Here are the steps, they're clearly laid out, they're numbered in my case, and here's the solution, and they're clearly laid out and they're numbered. And so it allows them to access that information in a way that they may not be able to do otherwise. The illustrations in my books are deliberately simple. The reason why I do this isn't just because I like to doodle and so they they work for my artistic ability. When you read a child a book that has an incredible illustration, my children would all of a sudden not look at the main character in the illustration, but off in the corner, there could be like some little red bird in a tree somewhere that has nothing to do with the story, and start asking me questions about that because there's too many inputs for them. So these books have illustrations that are deliberately simple to keep the child's focus on the story and what it's teaching them. The fonts are also all dyslexic friendly so that children with dyslexia can follow along and be able to kind of comprehend the book. And all of my books are available as audiobooks, of course, because that's how I consume words, but they have to be available to all different kinds of learners. And most recently, they're all out in Spanish too. So,
oh, nice. Very cool. And what is your target age range for your books?
About 3 to 9, depending on the kid. And again, we have a spectrum of kids that could benefit from this. And so there are times that that child may be a little older than 9, but the typical is about 3 to 9.
Thanks for tuning in to Autism Knows No Borders. Would you like to hear Sivan read an excerpt from one of her books about Halloween? Follow the link in the show notes for the full conversation, and be sure to subscribe for more stories from people connected to autism, inspiring change and building community. Let's work together to transform how the world relates to autism. Thanks for listening. Take care.